product don't have very much to shrink anyways. So we need to get this.
They make it. That's one of the things why it's so hard to nail Jillian for like being abusive or like skirting the laws, because technically she's just giving up information. People make it themselves, and that's kind of how she dodges responsibility. I mean, see, the thing, it's not just like people having strokes either. I mean, there's the Bruce Wilmot situation where he was already terminally ill, and she likes to cast shade on that, like, he was already dying anyway, and he tried my protocol and it didn't save him. She says it didn't save him because he wasn't aggressive enough with it, which is kind of a shitty thing of her to say, but whatever. But then there was another one, a young woman, and I didn't detail her story in my videos, because I went and I talked to her fiance who survived her, and he was a mess, and I felt horrible, and I didn't want to go into it. And if I went into it, people were going to want to know. Yeah, people were going to want to know who it was and look into it themselves. And I'm like, I want people to leave this dude alone. But the thing that happened to her was no history whatsoever of ever having seizures, no epilepsy, no nothing. She went on the protocol, was on it hardcore, had a seizure in the bathtub, and drowned.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And now, okay, so that brings up an interesting question. What would she be liable for, and what is she exactly, proprietizing in this? Like, she sells a product. She has a website that's designed around like selling Jilly Juice. So if the people are making it themselves, is she literally selling a recipe that could easily be, put out online for people to know? Like, what is her product that she's putting out there, and what's the liability on whatever she's doing?
I can speak on the FDA, but she just sells a book. Yeah.
Jeff.
So here's the thing: if she's selling a book, she's selling an idea, and if she says these claims have not been investigated by the FDA, they can treat it as a supplement. And she says, if you think you're thirsty, drink water. And so as long as she puts some kind of statement on there, it can be treated. And since she's not selling an actual product, she's selling an idea. She was selling an actual product that was causing people to have seizures. In the tub, the FDA could step in and say, okay, this isn't safe. But it's entirely up to the person to make it themselves. It's entirely up to the person to know that they're supposed to drink water at certain times. And she can say that. But the thing is the FDA, it is outrageous, but they can treat it as a supplement. If it's treated as food item, they can't go forward.
It is a food item.
Well, that's
it's literally
it's
food.
Treated as it's literally food. And so these people just ate too much of this food thing, and that's what caused them to be sick. And unfortunately, the FDA's hands are tied on that.
That's outrageous.
Since it's just a food item, and it's not meant to be a substitute for medical advice. As long as she says that in her book, she's covered.
Right. We can
Jeff,
blame
she killed
the
somebody.
dietary.
How's that possible?
She didn't kill them directly. They decided to do it themselves. That's what
right.
the FDA would say. I don't agree with it, but that's what they would say.
Yeah.
How they skirt this is the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994, which was the most blatant act of a bought piece of legislation, where two senators, a Republican and a Democrat, were openly given massive amounts of money by the supplement industry to lobby for the deregulation of supplements. This opened up all these loopholes. That's how you have all this shit going on. That's why you have people saying, well, I'm a homeopath, I can cure your cancer. By the way, this isn't actually regulated by the FDA. This is only a supplement, and it should not be replacing your medicine. But really, you should stop taking your meds. And they see no jail time, nothing. Skirts the same fucking lines.
It's the same stuff. I actually expose these groups often on Twitter. There's a cancer group that they claim to be medical doctors. They're not. They did a study where they had pulled people in and said, well, Yeah. And so they had them following, you should eat our food. You should do what we do. You should walk outside. You should get fresh air. And so they went through, and the people that were doing their study had like terminal cancer, trying to do it. But their families, and they listed, like, the families intervened and said they shouldn't continue the treatment. They ended up dying. Well, they had like stage 4 cancer, stage 3 cancer. In some cases, it was breast cancer, one of the most highly aggressive strains. And they're like, well, they stopped doing our treatment and they died of cancer. Well, they were probably going to anyway, but they don't present the evidence in that way.
I see that, like, but it's difficult because when you're in that position where you have that serious of a cancer, you're going to be looking for anything that would give you a chance to survive. Like, there's that like that inert kind of drive to continue, and that's why I think these people are disgraceful, because they prey on that. They prey on people's desire to remain alive. I think that's just the lowest, shittiest
and they
person.
Suck money out of them for that, and that makes me nuts. I have no problem taking down people like Jilly or big organizations that make money off of that. I don't go after small-time people that are like, I have a soap that you rub on your face and then you won't get face cancer. I mean, if it's like somebody that is, I'm like Goop, I regularly go after Goop. Peta's blocked me on Twitter. I go after them. I go after various organizations that have, some kind. I'm still quite proud that the Washington Post quoted my tweet about Goop. That was nice. That was my day.
There's a difference, I think, to like a remedy that's been passed down through generation to generation. There's old wives' tale, but they think that there's different things that you can do, like to get rid of warts or whatever. That's drastically different from telling somebody to stop taking chemotherapy, because there's not an old home remedy for cancer. It just doesn't exist. So these people, I think, know what they're doing.
Let me just read
they like to claim. Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Let me find this.
I was just gonna say the other thing that bothers me too about it is how often they like to claim that it cures cancer, not understanding that cancer by its very function, it's rare that a handful of cancers will even be remotely similar, and how you would want to tackle it is going to be the same. Like, they have different biological functions. Not all cancers are created equal. It's frustrating.
Yep. No, I mean, primarily my work is in epithelial cancers, which is anything to do with like skin-like tissue, breast cancer. I helped generate a breast cancer test. And so there's breast cancer, there's skin cancer, lung cancer. Those are all similar tissues. Okay, so I'm going to read this from her little book. Okay.
Yes.
So substantiation of any and all medical training and education you have had. So this is her response to this district attorney. Admittedly, I do not have any formal medical training and education. I consider that a benefit. I did not see that
coming. Hold on. I did not see that coming. Wow, I'm going to need a second. I did not see that one coming, Mel. You got to warn me next time.
She doesn't know things like book learning or nothing, man. Kyle, come on. All right.
Did you circle that with your red pen?
Didn't. I underlined it, and I have more things I underlined to talk about. See,
well, I see that, but listen, I could have told you that without even looking at the fucking report.
But she admitted it. Okay, so she says that, and she goes, "This is where it gets fun. With all due respect to the researchers and experts that offer research, studies, data, and information, the concepts that I support may have been previously overlooked due to compartmentalization or a variety of other factors, maybe because they don't work, and it's completely unfounded. There's no data." But this is what I found to be particularly hilarious, and I don't quite understand why she did it. And I do want to talk about her sources on this, because I was just like crying laughter.
We know you do.
In the restaurant.
We know you do.
Like, man, I'm telling you. So she says, okay.
She's triggered.
Tell me what you make of this. This has been a highlight of my day. She says,
you need to get out more.
Since I do not believe humans should ever die unless they get hit by a car, My research and protocol is worth studying and understanding from an academic point of view.
Wait, what?
Unless
What?
they get hit by a car, so like that's the only acceptable way of death. Hit by a car.
That's oddly specific. It's oddly specific.
It is oddly specific. I feel like somebody who really hate got hit by a car.
Well, I mean, like, it kind of makes sense though, because like she says in her first book, like all aggression and violence stems from like, incorrect programming of your fungus. So I suppose people stop shooting each other, and all that's left is just, I don't know, freak accidents with automobiles or, mudslides, fucking whatever.
They totally had it coming. They didn't walk on the sidewalk, or that drunk
You know what this means, right?
Like,
this means that we're going to see her on Dateline in a couple years. This is going to be where the confession started. She has killed someone with a car. And she's leaking it out in this report.
Okay, I have to read you this part. Okay, I have to do this. And then I got to show you. She put the whole periodic table in here to make it.
Mel,
extra
put the paper
sciencey.
Down. Do you have a shredder in that room? Put the shredder away.
No, I'm not going to shred this because I'm thinking about going through all of this and like drawing lines under things and put it on my science website and say, look at this, guys.
What have we done, Casey?
Funny.
What have we done?
I debunked stuff like this.
I didn't do this. You did this. This one's your fault.
Can I trigger Mel even further?
Yes.
So this is out of her first book. This is from the section, the very last section, belief systems, mainstream media, and mind control. I just wanted to read this to you real quick, Mel. Excuse me. Candida, the fungus, programs the mind based upon past traumatic experiences, and the food supply feeds the fungus, keeping those looping thought processes embedded. When a person is heavily detoxing, not only do these emotional triggers become a little more pronounced, you'll be quite aware of them as they come, and you'll have the ability to talk yourself down from the emotional rise. So you just gotta combat the fungal triggering, right?
It's tail of the body snatcher.
Can we quit life?
Except yeast.
If this is a simulation, can we quit? Can we be taking out, please?
I'm not quitting life over Jilly. I'm not quitting life over
game.
So should instead of autistic screeching, should it be fungal screeching?
Fungal screeching.
I think it should just be Jilly. Fungal screeching.
They just created a thing.
I have got to talk about her bibliography. I have got to talk about this, guys. Come on.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna let you take a breather for a second, okay? Just breathe in and breathe out. We're gonna go to the.
This has just been hilarious, man.
I know, but listen, if I knew months ago that all it would take would be cabbage and salt, Mel, I promise you I would have sent you a care package a long time ago. This is my bad, okay? I would get you cabbage and salt.
This has been this has been funny for me because I've gone through it and found I don't think you realize how heavy in depth I go in any particular thing. I'm an overachiever.
Oh no, you do. That's why we brought you on, because you're fantastic with your research. Absolutely, that's why we brought you on.
It really does.
Yeah. But let's talk about how she claims that it can cure homosexuality. Like, what does she consider, Jeff, homosexuality to be, and how it can be fixed by the cabbage? And then Mel will go to you after Jeff, and you can speak to it with what you have in your
so many great answers. It's fantastic.
Your cocaine paper right there. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, I wanted to find. I had. Oh, it's not in this one. I wish I had dug it up. I have it somewhere in my files. I don't want to misquote Jillian. I'd be horrified if I accidentally misrepresented her. But from my recollection, there's some sarcasm in there. I hope you detected. From my recollection, the main argument she had about homosexuality was that homosexuality could be effectively, I don't think she uses this word because I don't know if she knows this word, but aberrant development. It's an aberrant development in the human biology, in the human psyche. This is largely due to the misprogramming of your fungus, right? And her argument for why it's appropriate, and she even said it on Dr. Phil, like the argument for why it's appropriate to try Jilly Juice to cure the gay away is that basically you don't know if you are your real self because your fungus has been misprogrammed. So why don't you just try